Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Star Wars podcast, Bad Batch Breakdown Edition. I'm Melissa.
I'm Matt. Welcome to our show. Melissa, you still haven't updated our cool super secret background.
Okay, well, okay, fine. I'm caught. I did not update our super
You
secret
said
background.
you were going to fix it last week.
That's
and
true.
You didn't.
That's true. I did say that, and I haven't gotten around to it because I was busy creating other intros, which I texted you.
That's true.
Anyway.
You did create some pretty cool intros.
Yeah, one of which you guys will probably see today in the next few seconds here, actually. Let's get into it. We have a huge episode of, Bad Batch to break down today. Wow, Truth and Consequences and the Clone Conspiracy. I'm not sure which one comes first, which title comes first, but two extremely loaded episodes. I am pumped up to talk about these. So good.
Very good, very strong episodes throughout the entire series, I think. These are really standouts, dare I say, even across Clone Wars. I thought these were excellent.
Yeah.
Very, very well done. Super Star Wars-y and dense. A lot of stuff they packed in here. So it was a very, very strong mid-season finale, which is great. We needed that. We needed an episode where some stuff actually happens. So I'm happy with it. I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, like the writing, direction, animation, music, lighting, like it was all on point. Like when the Bad Batch goes hard, it goes hard. Like this episode slapped. So I'm really anxious to get into it. But before we do, we have Star Wars news. Are you guys ready?
Star Wars news.
Here we go. Good evening.
That was great. Good evening. My name's Melissa, and I created this graphic. It only took me 6 hours.
No,
You know, that tail at the end of it is a little awkward. That dun, 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 dun. And then we jump in. It was like just an awkward amount enough time for it to be weird.
It gives you time to do the turnaround to the good evening. But Star Wars news, the only bit of Star Wars news that I caught on to this week is IGN, I believe, got to post the first sneak preview of the first 10 minutes of gameplay of Jedi Survivor. Were you able to look at that?
I have not seen that yet. I was going to do a reaction to it, so I just haven't gotten around to it. But no, I have not seen it. But I saw some clips, but yeah, I thought it'd be good to react. But I saw one clip. I couldn't help myself on Twitter, and it got me really excited. It was like a 10-second clip that I saw from the gameplay, but I'm like, oh my God, this game's going to be amazing.
I only watched the first 30 seconds of the gameplay, but like, it's pretty cool, man. Like, I don't know, like Cal Kestis and his double-bladed lightsaber, he can like break it apart and fight. Like they've added some new moves, and some force abilities. So I'm super excited.
Yeah, that game, it reminded me of when I played the first one for the first time, and that was a peak gaming experience for me. Just so enjoyable. I've played through that game 2.5 times maybe. I should start doing that again. Maybe in the next week we can live stream some more. I know I said that last time, but we'll actually do that and start live playing through it because I want to get hyped up for it. We have some time. We have 2 months almost.
They moved it to April 28th. Yeah.
Oh, so 3 months.
Yeah.
So we have plenty of time to do like a playthrough, or at least start doing it, which is some fun extra content. But yeah. If it's anything like the first game, which obviously it will be, I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm pumped up. Looks great. But other than that, I did not see any... Oh, no, I'm lying. I'm totally lying. The composer for The Mandalorian, Ludwig, however you say his last name, is not...
Van Beethoven?
Yeah, Ludwig van Beethoven. I don't know how to say his last name for the life of me. He's not returning to compose Mando Season 3. It is the composer from the Book of Boba Fett who will be taking over because one can assume that Ludwig he did Wakanda Forever and now he's working on a few other movies that he's slated to score. So it's not surprising, but it is a little disappointing because his soundtracks are bops, but...
Yeah, I think it's Garrison or Goranson or something, Ludwig Göransson. But yeah, that is a bummer. It was a bummer to hear that. He obviously made a super iconic theme to The Mandalorian, which I think everyone recognizes at this point. So I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, all the themes are there, so I think they'll just take what he did and just kind of chop it up. And then obviously you'll have undertones and stuff like that you can add, and new themes for new characters and stuff. So it might not have that much of an impact, but it's still a bummer to not have him be there. It's like if they made a new Star Wars movie and didn't have John Williams do it, you'd be like, that's a bummer, you know?
Yep. So it's not like breaking, but it's like, oh, okay. I don't think that's going to degrade the quality of the show any less, but
no. They're not unless they did something totally new and didn't incorporate his music, which it doesn't sound like they're doing.
No. So I think that's it for Star Wars news today, but we have an extremely hefty Bad Batch episode to talk about.
Yeah, so let's just jump into that.
Is it the Clone Conspiracy? Excuse me. The Clone Conspiracy is the first part of this mid-season finale, and the summary for the Clone Conspiracy is: a conspiracy begins to unravel. And Matt, if you have that episode breakdown up, we can start going through it, because what a loaded episode, and we didn't even see the Bad Batch once.
Yes, but before we do, guys, please click the like button if you're enjoying this. If you're here and happy with us, please do click that like button. Press subscribe. Press the comment button and leave a comment, even if it's just, hi, guys, I'm a new listener. That's cool. Or if it's like, hey, you guys have nice hair today, I would appreciate that too. Any comments, any engagement with this would be great. Also, click subscribe and click the notification bell so you're aware of when our episodes like this come out and when our reaction videos come out. It really helps us, and we're trying to grow the channel. So when you guys do that, it's very good for everyone involved. Also, please be sure to follow us on social media at @star_wars_pod on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. And don't forget, you can follow us anywhere you get your podcasts. All right, the boring stuff's out of the way. Okay. But I got to say that every time, because sometimes people forget. Also, guys, TikTok, we have a lot of great memes on TikTok right now and YouTube Shorts. So if you want to head over to YouTube Shorts right now, or TikTok, or Instagram Reels, check those out. We're doing lots more content, which is fun, which you can't necessarily find on this channel. You could, I guess, by going to Shorts, but Shorts also limits to how long you can do, which is lame. I don't know why they do that. But our TikTok is great, and you would like it. All right, anyways, back to the show. This is where we would do an ad read, too, but we don't have any advertisers.
What would our ad be?
We would do, is your dog too tired? You push and pull, but all he does is sit on the couch like a bag of lazy bones.
Oh, I know.
Well, until today, there's never been a solution to this very common problem. Introducing Spark, an energy drink for dogs. This organic proprietary pet blend keeps your pet awake and alert at all hours of the day, so you never miss out on playtime again. Spark is great for pooches of all shapes and sizes. And if you use code StarWarsPod at checkout, we'll give you $5 off a purchase of $35 or more in your first Spark box. So thanks to our sponsors, Spark, the first energy drink for dogs. So
this is a very real product.
It's very real. It sounds a little counterintuitive. I don't know why you would need your dog to stay up. But it's also kind of a fantastic idea. You could play with your dog forever. So it's definitely real and not a joke. So thanks to our sponsors, Spark. I wish I had a graphic I could put up of the logo for Spark. I had one somewhere.
You could do Spark. I don't know. What are some Clone Wars related things you could do? We're sponsored by 79's, the Clone Bar.
Sponsored by Oga's Cantina. Okay, let's jump in because there's a lot to cover. But special thanks to our sponsor, Spark, the energy drink for dogs. Organic proprietary pet blend. It definitely wasn't invented by me and is not a big joke. Okay. This is called The Clone Conspiracy. All right. This was a juicy episode.
So juicy.
Really enjoyed this watch through. And I think it starts out really strong. So we're in Coruscant Cantina. Clone Trooper Cade is telling his comrade about Peter Pumpkin, Admiral Rampart's lies, and his buddy Slip says, we were just following orders. Major Nazi Germany vibes here. We were just following orders. Not a great excuse, buddy. But the clone is saying, the Slip guy is saying, hey, I actually sent Peter Pumpkin a message to have him tell the truth before I do it myself. And then Cade leaves, but Slip follows, warning him that Rampart's too dangerous. They're talking about it, and then a blaster fire comes in and shoots Slip right in the chest from a mysterious blaster fire up on a building. Very similar to Attack of the Clones here. Very cool.
Very much so.
Very cool little callback there. Slip, I'm sorry, it doesn't hit Slip, it hits Cade. But Slip dodges the bullets, and then does a really cool maneuver, jumps off the cliff with the speeder.
Yeah, he does.
And the other clone troopers come out and they start securing the area. Nice. Then we cut to the Senate proceedings. This is what I love. I love the Senate stuff going on. They're talking about Camino, and we find out that they've been told that there was a cataclysmic storm on Camino, which is what wiped out Tapioca City.
Tapioca City.
So Tapioca City has been wiped out by a giant storm, which I don't know how they believe that. The whole planet is under storm all the time, but they seem to buy that.
Well, even Bale says that later. He's like, Camino's like endured storms, and all of a sudden, magically, this one storm comes through and destroys it.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Every time we've seen Camino as viewers, it's like, and it's just pouring down rain with 100-foot high waves. Yeah,
these massive creatures in the water. I
guess if the senators haven't been there, they wouldn't know that. So they are talking about being vulnerable because they can't make new clone troopers. And Rampart's trying to push his clone replacement bill, his conscripted soldiers, military bill.
The defense recruitment bill, I think it's called.
Defense recruitment bill, yes, which we've heard of earlier in the season, episode 2 or episode 3. We heard about that. They are saying, they're asking, we get the introduction of a new senator, Rio Chucci, which sounds like a character from an Italian neighborhood in The Godfather.
Is she new?
It's Chucci. I don't know. I thought she was new. See, I don't know. She's blue, and I know that. Maybe she's blue and new, or maybe she's just blue.
She appeared twice in the Clone Wars.
Okay, I don't have that good of a memory. So
once on, do you remember the episode? God, I don't know what planet they were on, but it was Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Rex on this snowy planet. I don't think it was Hoth, but I might be wrong.
Was it cold?
She was. I don't know. Shut it. It was not Kolth. It had Chuchi in it, and she was like this very young, timid, vulnerable senator, and she like kind of has to learn to like come into herself and like assert herself on this planet because these creatures are wiping out her people and vice versa, and Anakin and Obi-Wan are there trying to maintain like peace. So that was her first appearance, and then she appeared again in another arc with Padme and Ahsoka, and she goes undercover with Ahsoka to rescue the chairman of Pantora's daughters. Do you remember that one? And she was...
Vaguely, yeah.
Yeah, she snuck around with Ahsoka in that episode, and they rescued their daughters, and then she, like, once again had to come through and, like, prove her abilities as a senator. So she is a reoccurring character. So I like that they brought her back to be, like, the representative of the clones.
Yeah, she's very nice. She's looking out for the well-being. A forgettable character, apparently, because I don't remember her that well.
It was a while ago.
Yeah. But you're better with this stuff than I am. Either way, so we're seeing her again. She's being nice. We know that she wants to look after them. She's like, what are we going to do? They can't really cope with their accelerated aging. And
also interesting that she's like, hey, guys, I'm going to craft a pension plan. And they're like, we're not retiring.
Yeah.
Like, we're not getting off this. And she's like, well, you kind of have to think about it because you're aging faster than the average person.
Yeah. And then they're like, we haven't been programmed to think that way.
And she's like, well, maybe you should.
Yeah. Which, smart move on her part. They should be thinking about that. Which is a weird thing. Like,
yeah, it is strange.
A bunch of yous getting old together. It's pretty strange. So we can see, so she talks to them, and then we can also kind of see some trouble brewing between Chuchi and Rampart, because Rampart obviously wants his defense bill to get passed, as does Palpatine. So it's in their best interest to get this going as fast as possible. Chuchi talks to the clones. They're being stupid. They don't really understand what she's talking about. And then they're kind of like, you know what? All right, you're right. We should probably start thinking about this, and then cue the military music. So military music is just trumpets and drums. That's all it is. Snare drums and trumpets. And then you know you're in a military setting, which is what was happening during this scene. The clones are talking. Later on, she is talking with, or Slip pulls her aside and is like, hey, that wasn't an accident. Camino was a big bad thing from Peter Pumpkin. And she's like, all right, that's not great, but thanks for the info, and I would like to follow up with you on this. So the plot's thickening. He's telling her, because he's like, oh, you're one of the good ones, and then she's like, all right, be careful. So he gives her his number, right? His clone number, whatever it is.
He's like, look this
so
up
she can
on
look it up later.
Rampart's
Yeah,
ship
to verify.
to find the records.
Yeah. So later that night, we see Slip going to a back alley. He's contacting an unidentified individual, which I think we all kind of knew who that was.
Yep.
I don't know if that was pretty obvious. He's like,
Yeah.
I need your help, please. I'm like, that's definitely Rex.
There's your Jason Statham clone again.
That's kind of what they sound like. Okay.
I don't think they do. It's not. It's like he's a little rougher sounding.
Jason Statham's about as rough sounding as they come. He sounds
That's what I'm
like
saying.
this.
Yeah, but there's
The clones
these
sound more like this. They're kind of English. Hunter.
Okay.
Echo.
Maybe I could agree with
Record.
you. I could agree with you on Hunter for that.
Okay. Well, whatever. It's the same vein.
It is the same vein, but it is interesting to hear on that topic how much, like, what different, I don't want to say, like, accents, but, like, the different voices that Dee puts on for the clones. Like, that one clone that, like, comes up upon, like, the dead body of Cade, and he's like, secure the area, and he's got, like, a super deep voice.
Yeah.
And then you'll go over, and it's like Slip has, like, this lighter-sounding voice, but then Rex kind of sounds different from Slip. And then Hunter's on, like, a whole nother level. And then, like, Tech sounds super nerdy, so it is interesting to hear how he, like, places different, I don't know what the right word is, variables? Like, the way, like, he twists his voice to be higher for some roles and then, like, lower for others. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's the timbre of his voice. There's a nice little
There you
vocab
go.
word
The
for you
timbre of
guys.
D. Bradley Baker's voice.
Spelled timber, but it's pronounced timbre. Timbre. Look it up. Okay, so we see Slip talking to Rex, who is obviously Chuchi. Senator Chuchi is meeting with Peter Pumpkin and is talking about the pension plan. She's threatening to withhold support for the defense recruitment bill. And now Chuchi's questioning things because she knows the truth. She's like, how'd you survive those storms? And he's like, well, I wasn't even on Camino.
I was at a training exercise or whatever he said.
He goes, I was at a training exercise off-world. And then pretends to be sad about everything.
She's
Rampart
like,
wants to move forward, prompting Chuchi to say it's easier for some than others before taking leave. Rampart sits there. Later, Chuchi's staffers tell her that she's received a secure communication, and they are met in a back alley to Senador Organa.
This is where the episode tricked me, actually. I thought it was totally going to be Rex. I was under the impression that it was going to be like Rex and Chuchi working together. But Bale's great, too.
That could have worked, too. Yeah, either one works. I think Bale makes more sense because he's in the Senate, so...
Well, he's like...
That actually comes into play later in the episode. They need him to know what's going on to deliver the evidence.
Yeah. But I also think it's funny that Bale's like the point of contact, like for everybody who's trying to work around the Empire.
Daddy.
It's like
he's the dad of the universe, the good guy dad who helps put everything together.
No, yeah, he's totally. But like, it's like Obi-Wan and Yoda contact him. Ahsoka is shown to be working with him post Order 66. Rex, like, you have all these major characters. They're like,
he's low-key like super important. Like
he's so
super important.
Yeah. To like the foundation of the rebellion.
Yeah, everything. The survival of the Jedi, the foundation of the rebellion. Like, he's pretty instrumental, as they say.
Bale's the MVP, man.
He's like, you caused a stir.
She's like, funny how they don't do that with apathy or ignorance.
Right. And so she's being a little, instigator here. But Organa warns her about Peter Pumpkin. Organa links the issue of clone rights to a rising number of insurgencies, which frightens the Emperor. Very interesting scene here. Very interesting spy espionage vibes.
That was the follow-up I was going to say, is very espionage vibes throughout this entire episode. Also, Chuchi reminds me a lot of Padme. Like, she feels like the stand-in for Padme right now because Bale and Padme worked so closely together during the Clone Wars. In fact, I believe that there was I think the episode was called Pursuit of Peace, and it's the one where somebody tries to assassinate Bale and Padme has to, like, stand up and testify in front of the entire Senate in his place. I think that's the name of the Clone Wars episode, is Pursuit of Peace, which also has a number of characters in this episode that reappear. But I don't know, like, watching Chuchi throughout this episode, I'm like, she's kind of the Padme stand-in. Because if Padme were alive, I'd have to imagine that she'd be advocating for the rights of clones. Like, that seems like a very Padme thing to do.
Yeah.
Especially given how, like, close to Anakin was to Rex and Obi-Wan to Cody, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Either way, very cool shots here. Very good pacing throughout the episode so far. I really enjoyed that. So meanwhile, Rampart's talking to his assassin, big scary guy with a cool mask, to hunt down Slip, and he's saying, if you tail Chuchi and she finds Slip, kill them both. Ruthless. He's willing to do anything to have things go his way. He doesn't care. He just wants things to go his way. Has no regard for anyone around him. Peter Pumpkin's looking out for Peter Pumpkin. So then we cut to Slip navigating through the streets of Coruscant. He finds his contact who says he's on the way, and then we see someone turning around the corner, and it's Chuchi.
Chuchi! It's a Chuchi! It's a me, a Chuchi!
Slip asks what she wants. She says she wants to help with the truth. Slip is not interested. He's like, I don't want to do this. Just go find the evidence yourself. I'm leaving. I'm getting out of here. I want to go. Chuchi tells Slip that the attack not only wiped out Tapioca City, but all the Kaminoan cities. So that was pretty brutal. Kamino's like totally screwed now. Still, Slip does not really care. Tells him to get the log from Peter Pumpkin's ship, and then he gets blasted. As we all expected, he gets blasted immediately.
You know, can I point out another callback here? This also reminded me of the arc with Fives trying to prove that the Chancellor's actually a Sith Lord. That arc, you know, like, and you know his efforts are in vain, and you know he's going to fail, but there's still like that slight hope that Fives is going to get away with it. And then at the very, very end, he's killed by another clone because everybody believes that he's gone insane. When he tried to expose, like, the Chancellor and the inhibitor chip. So I felt like this entire episode was kind of echoing that. In a way, no pun intended, echo, haha. But I really, like, it felt like it harkened back to multiple Clone Wars arcs. But it's like, you know, you see the clone trying to prove something, sneaking around. And so I was sitting here, I was like, I don't want them to, but they're totally going to kill Slip.
Yeah, there's no other way for that character to move forward, I don't think.
No, it's just frustrating.
But hey, at least he was able to help. Okay, we look on the positive side here. So then he gets blasted. They start shooting. They shoot one of Chuchi's guards. They're able to flee through a door. One of the guards gets blasted in the chest, which makes no sense to me. The other one got blasted, but he somehow died. Then the other guy's okay when he gets blasted.
I thought the other guy got shot in the
chest.
shoulder.
Same difference, dude. Getting shot in the chest would be way worse, I would think. But unless he has some kind of special armor on, I don't know. We can make excuses about this. But to me, I'm like, he got shot directly in the chest.
So minor, but...
Hey, this is what I do, dude. I meticulously critique things, all right?
The minor details. Like, why the heck do people wear masks in Star Wars?
Yeah, like literally this guy who's shooting at them, it's to look cool. Like it's actually a major beef I have is people just wear masks to look cool. Which like takes away the coolness factor. Like Vader wore a mask because he needed it. But then you have all the stormtroopers that wear it. Kylo Ren having a mask, like when he just took it off and it's just a guy. I was like, this is stupid. He's so much less scary when you see Adam Driver's face. He takes it off and he's like, talking like this. Oh, hello, I'm Adam Driver. And you're like, that's okay, true. This is the least scary bad guy I've ever seen in anything, ever. And he has a long hair. He just looks like a guy from Staten Island. And you're like, okay.
He looks like a L'Oreal model. And
he
looks at his hair.
He has the super long hair in the first movie. It's like poofy. He looks like he looks like a lord, like a page from the 1200s.
He looks like the opening scene from Shrek 2 where Charming like flips his hair.
Yeah, he does, except for the black-haired version of that. He's just not scary, dude. Like, they picked the least scary-looking guy. Now, they fixed it a little bit in the later movies, I thought. But the first one...
Why? Because he got cut in the face?
Yeah, when he first takes off his mask in that first movie, I'm like, oh, this is so stupid. It's so dumb. He doesn't need it. And again, with this assassin who's shooting at them too, he doesn't need it. He's just wearing it for fun because it looks cool.
Side tangent for 2 seconds. It would have been awesome had Kylo Ren taken off his mask for the first time and you saw lightsaber scarring on his face, and then you later learned that Luke accidentally did that when they were in a duel.
Oh, sorry.
No, not like that.
Yeah, actually, that's way cooler. Or make it someone who's like actually looks bad. Like, I don't know, make it an alien or something, or someone who actually had damage to his face, so it helped with the damage on his face. And like, he didn't even have helmet hair. He takes off his helmet and his hair's perfect.
It's like these perfect locks, these luxurious locks that come down.
So dumb. There's no helmet hair
anyway,
in Star Wars, apparently.
Masks in Star Wars are stupid unless you have a reason for them.
This is the stuff I nitpick at. Sorry, I have fun with it. So, this guy gets blasted in the chest. He's fine. And then they get inside and he gets blasted for real. We don't really see him die. And he says he'll be right behind Chuchi, but he's not, in fact, right behind Chuchi. The assassin's catching up with her before he can finish her off. We see someone turn the corner and stun him. And it's no one other than Captain Rex. Not super surprising, but cool nonetheless.
I just love that the animators were like, we're going to give Rex two of the most like badass intros. Like the first intro he got into Bad Batch was his Prancing Pony intro, his Lord of the Rings Prancing Pony intro from season 1. And then season 2, they're like, he's going to step in and be the hero at the last minute. And shoot, I don't know, man. I just like totally geeked out at that point. Rex is like, I said this in my reaction video, but like Captain Rex and Ahsoka Tano now have like god tier levels of Star Wars character status. Where it's like, you can tell it's like the fans react to them in a way that people react to like the original trilogy characters, like Luke Skywalker or Han Solo or Princess Leia. And it's just, I don't know, like whenever Captain Rex comes on screen, I'm like, yes, like, let's go.
He's become an iconic character, that's for damn sure. He's also just a good guy. Like his motivations, he's just trying to help. He's doing the best he can. He's trying to help Slip. Then he goes and is helping Chuchi, and he was. We see later he's trying to help Echo. So there's a lot of. He's a good guy. He has good motivations. Behind
when
him. So
we get to this end, I would love to do a little bit of a character discussion on Rex.
Sure. So she says the Slip and her guards have been killed. She knew that Slip knew about what happened on Camino and Tapioca City. They examine the assassin, who turns out to just be a random clone trooper. A little mysterious here.
Who's
very
not
good writing, though.
A clone
Rex
trooper.
replies that he's not a clone trooper, but intends to question him at a secure location. And this guy seems to know who Rex is, by the way, which is interesting, which might come into play later.
Yep.
And they're questioning him. The clone describes himself as a believer. Also scary voice that this guy has. And then bites into a suicide shocker, which kills him. And then Chuchi's like, hey, that sucks. And the episode ends. Really cool ending. Super mysterious vibes here. Excellent episode overall.
Yeah, it absolutely like incredible. I loved the espionage vibes. It was just super fun, super engaging. It felt like it was directly pulled out of the prequel era. Like, even like the lighting and the environments were crazy. Like, I'm not convinced that some of those shots of Coruscant were not photos, because I paused the frame, and if you look at them from like a distance, you're like, that looks like a photograph that somebody took.
This is what I would have liked for Andor, and I said this in my reaction too.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see Andor based on Coruscant, like that underworld vibe, like the city vibe of it. There's so much going on. Like it's such a big, dense area. It just would have been cooler, and like the pacing of this, the mystery behind it, the music was really good here, and just the plot was well written. The stuff with the Senate was really cool, like how there's politics there. Like that's what I was hoping for with Andor. Mm-hmm. We just didn't really get that as much. I know everyone's going to comment Andor was the best show ever. It was the greatest thing that ever happened to Star Wars, which is fine. You're allowed to have that opinion. I'm not saying I didn't like Andor. Andor was good in its own right. It brought a lot of really interesting things to Star Wars, but all I'm saying is, a live action version of more of whatever this Bad Batch episode was would make me super happy, and it would have worked well for Andor. Like you could have set a lot of Andor on Coruscant. I don't know why we need to keep inventing planets. Let's use the ones that are already built into the story. And like even the first scene of Rogue One, I don't even know where he is. He's on some weird
it's not Coruscant?
No, not in Rogue One, I don't think. I think he's on some weird like planet that's on an asteroid or something. I don't remember. But like stuff like that was really cool. I would have loved to see more of that. Instead of, I don't even remember the name of his planet. It's too forgettable. I don't know why we're not reusing stuff from Star Wars, essentially. So like this one, I totally agree with you. Prequel vibes, but it also felt like sequel a little bit because we're mixing the worlds, which is why I like this show. The same thing happened last season, where it's filling the gaps in between episode 3 and episode 4. And that's kind of what this was doing too. And that's, I think, why I enjoyed it so much, is it had those core elements of Star Wars within it, but also a lot of new stuff.
Yeah, totally. Definitely agree with that. I had a thought and then I totally lost it.
Well, let's get into, what did you want to say about Rex?
On his helpfulness, like his willingness to kind of jump in and help people, and how he's kind of like running this espionage thing. Like, he's working undercover. We don't know to the extent of, like, how much he's working with Ahsoka, if he's still in contact with her. I'm assuming he's in contact with her because there's no way he would know Trace and Rafa, because those are characters that first interacted with Ahsoka. So I can imagine she's, like, giving him leads, and while they might not be, like, together, they're still working together even though they've gone their separate ways. What really gets me, though, about Rex's character in particular, though, is, and I believe I told you this, but if you look at him in Rebels, he's so unbothered by the state of the galaxy in that show, where it takes the Ghost Crew, like, 2 episodes to convince him to come back and help the rebellion and help Ahsoka. Because he's like, no, I've done my time. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm, like, out here, like, fishing, essentially, on this planet with Wolf and Gregor. And so when I'm watching this Bad Batch episode, there's a part of me that's going, like, what happened? Like, he, like, obviously, because I commented on this in my reaction video, like, obviously this is all in vain. And we're aware that it's all in vain, and the Empire's going to take over, and the Imperials are going to take over, and everything's horrible. But it's like Rex is not aware of that, and I guess this episode, or this 2-parter, was, like, the first step in, like, Rex's realization, like, yeah, we're getting replaced. And we're obsolete. We don't have any meaning anymore to the Empire. But if you look at where his character is in Rebels as opposed to here, it's kind of like, it's a big difference. Because he's super active in Bad Batch, he's super active in Clone Wars, and then you get to Rebels and he's just indifferent. And, you know, eventually, like, he gets back into the fight because they convince him, and he's working back together with Ahsoka. And while we didn't get a ton of episodes on him in Rebels, like, he does get back into that, and he's a great asset. But it's like, from point A, Bad Batch, to point B, which is like the beginning of Rebels, you're like, oh my gosh, like, at what point did he put his sword down and be like, I'm done?
Maybe we get to see some of that in this season. They're going to do something more with him, I think, in the next couple of episodes. Or maybe not, or maybe we'll just do a random episode on some random planet, Rectus 9, and then they'll play with, like, mushrooms or something for, like, 2 episodes.
Get high.
And then they'll jump and have, like, a really cool, heavy episode, and then they'll jump to doing nothing again.
Right. I'm interested in Rex's character, and we can talk more about this in part 2, which is Truth and Consequences, I think. It's just interesting. It's just something to think about. I don't know if you've watched scenes of Rex's from Rebels at all, or if you had a take on that.
No, I haven't seen a ton of it. As you know, I haven't seen all of Rebels. I've seen several episodes, but yeah, I know who he is in that, in the show. He's definitely different, and there's definitely been some kind of evolution that's happened since Clone Wars and this, which is why I'm saying I think there'll be some interesting development to see why that evolution happens.
Also, Echo's not with him in Rebels.
Maybe he just decided to pull what's that guy's name? Artis Crunkleton, the guy who, the farmer clone.
Oh my god, why am I blanking? I know Clone Wars, so oh my god, why am I blanking? Melissa, what is wrong with me? It's oh my god.
Cutler Quain.
Cutler Quain, why couldn't I think, you know what my brain kept doing?
Right.
My brain kept going Tup from the Fives arc. I was like, it's not Tup, it's not Tup.
Artis Crunkleton was pretty close, though.
Yes, Artis Crunkleton was very, very close. I don't know what they're gonna do, but I almost feel like Rex is he's gonna have to be pretty beat down for him to finally be like, I can't do this anymore. I can't watch any more people die.
Well,
again, that's
fair,
a theory
by the
that.
way.
Sorry,
That's
go ahead.
fair. I said that's fair.
It's concerning, but part 2.
Yeah, so I think overall, just to put a bow on this, the first, I mean, this was kind of one episode to me, but the first part of this was excellent. I would love to see more of this. Like, this is I want more episodes like this live action. Like, give me politics of what's happening with the Senate and how the Emperor is involved and, like, how that's impacting other things in the galaxy that we're already familiar with instead of inventing all these new things, which is what they've done with all these other shows, which we don't need. There's so much built into Star Wars as it is, and this episode does a perfect job of illustrating that. Is like, there's so much stuff going on in the world of stuff that we're already familiar with, so you don't need to introduce new characters or new planets or new ideologies or any of this stuff. You can stick to the core material and still make it really damn good. So that's the reason I enjoyed this the most. I thought the music was fantastic. The cinematography, it just felt like a really good, typical TV show. You know what I mean? Like I was very engaged the whole time and very interested in what was happening. I was interested in the characters. Even this new senator, the Pinky Brewster.
Chuchi?
Yeah, Chuchi. And she's good, and I was interested in what she was talking about. You know what I mean? And so,
Yeah.
like, I would have loved to see that with Andor, like with Mon Mothma. Would have been really cool to have more stuff involved with her, like not just sitting in her apartment the whole time, but like
Yep.
actually doing things.
Well, going out, talking to other senators.
Yeah, being in the Senate, like having that political aspect, I love it. Maybe other people don't, but I do. So that's why I like this episode. I thought it was very strong. The writing was just fantastic. So props to them.
Yeah, part one
Kudos
was phenomenal.
all around.
I do share your sentiments on Andor, by the way. I think like this episode's a perfect example of what I would have liked to see in Andor. You know, the undercover, the behind the scenes, like who's pulling the strings behind like the happy senator faces, like, oh, we're gonna go in and we're gonna do our senator thing, like we're imperial senators, and then underneath that it's like, hey, no, we're working for the rebellion. Like, I think it's fun watching Chuchi run around fighting for clone rights, meeting up with Bail Organa, running into Captain Rex, trying to uncover the mystery of what actually happened on Kamino. Like, it's really interesting stuff. And a lot of questions that, like, we haven't seen answered for, like, 18 to 20 years, you know, with Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. It leaves a lot up for world building. And so the fact that they're, like, taking these complex questions, like, hey, what happens to the clones after the war? Like, and what happened to Kamino? Like, why would they stop decommissioning? So I think they're asking all the right questions here. And I just think that, like, this episode is a result of, like, some pretty intense creativity.
I agree. Really good creativity here. Also, credits for the show. I want to start giving more credits here, just so we know who did what. Directed by Brad Rao, Nathaniel Villanueva. Obviously, writing credits created by Dave Filoni, but written by Ezra Nachman. And Matt Michnovets is a story editor on this. Yep. So awesome job to those people on this episode. All right, next episode. Let's jump in. Episode 8, although this is Truth and Consequences.
Consequences. Yeah. The episode summary is, the episode summary is, brought into a risky mission, the Batch must use stealth to survive. This is the Batch's first appearance in this two-parter. Yeah. Lovely, lovely.
This one's directed by Stuart Lee. Written by Damani Johnson. Do we have any guest stars in this one? Oh, well, I guess we can get to that one in a little bit. Okay, so let's jump in. This one just kind of picks up where the last one left off. I thought it was a very smooth transition. You could have pushed these two things together. Mm-hmm. Like, you could have taken the last scene of the first one and the first scene of this one and pushed and like had it cut from Rex and them to the Bad Batch here, and it would have been seamless. So I thought that was really well done. Which is what we cut to. Bad Batch and Omega are on the Marauder while we have the Gonk droid walking around. Omega, Gonky. Omega's meditating. Echo notices this. She picked this up from Gunji. Cute. So cute. Echo makes a funny comment here. Actually, kind of depressing comment about how he doesn't like meditating because he doesn't like being alone due to his experiences on Skako Minor, which we should explain Skako Minor to anyone who doesn't know what that is.
Oh, the Bad Batch mission from the Clone Wars.
Correct. What was happening there?
Bad Batch mission. I feel like I'm writing a report in the classroom. What happened during the events of Skako Minor?
We have to let this thing sit alone in case something, I don't know if people saw those episodes or not. So what happened on Skako Minor to Echo? Why is he so depressed by this?
Okay, Professor, I'm getting my answers in. Skako Minor was a mission conducted by Captain Rex and the Bad Batch, and I believe also Cody, to rescue Echo. I think they were originally going to get information, and Anakin Skywalker was leading them, and they find out that the Separatists have been using Echo as like their database for information. Like, he's essentially used as a processor. It's like very creepy, very zombie-esque, and so the Bad Batch, Anakin Skywalker, Captain Rex all go to liberate him. And in what is a very dark arc, they go rescue him. And then at the end of that arc, Echo decides to leave Rex and the other clones and then go off with the Bad Batch as a new member. So,
correct. So
thank you. How many points did I win?
That is one of the darker Clone Wars episodes. You win 73 points.
Out of?
Okay, so we see Rex reaches out to them and is like, hey guys, I need your help. And they're like, Wrecker's like, all right, we'll do it. And Hunter's like, yeah, we'll meet on Coruscant. They don't want to, but the Empire thinks they're dead, so no big deal there. Rex is being helpful. He says, come to Coruscant, I'll help you out. They get there. They get there and they're greeted by Rex, Senator Chuchi, and then they are shown the corpse of this clone in his weird little sarcophagus with just his face showing. His identifying markers have been removed, and then Rex is essentially briefing them on what's going on.
I have a question for you.
What is your question for me?
Who is the clone assassin?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm hoping they'll go into more detail on that, although they might not, because they kind of just mentioned that Omega is Boba Fett's sister and then never did anything with that. So they might do something similar here where they just make it a nothing. It's just like, oh, he's nobody. But which he probably is. Probably just someone who, talking with zombie clones, Peter Pumpkin just took him and used him for his own desires and cranked up his
that sounds a little kinky.
We don't know. Admiral Rampart's a kinky guy.
Moving on from that, I only ask because Rex says he's not a clone. Or what does he say? What is the word? Let me look through my... Oh, Rex said he wasn't a trooper or whatever when they turn over his face. So I'm wondering, my first thought is like, is this just an average clone? Because then what it sounds like to me when Rex is debriefing the Bad Batch is it sounds like he was a clone who just had all individuality wiped away from him because they turned up the effectiveness of his chip. That's what that comes off to.
Yeah, that's
like,
kind of what I thought. That's kind of how I expected it to be. It's just like, oh, he was used for just these purposes.
Or I was thinking, is this part of like, this might be a stretch, but I was also thinking, is this part of like Nala Se's new assignment to do experimental cloning?
Could be. We haven't heard from them. Again, another plot point we haven't heard about since last season. But yeah, totally could be that. I don't know. I feel like the Empire would just like, maybe once you become an officer, they just give you a clone to do whatever you want with, and so they can become your evil sniper clone.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into that.
I thought maybe it would be Crosshair at first, but then I'm like, that wouldn't make sense to have a helmet on. I don't know.
Well, also they demoted him.
That's true. But
And
maybe
he's
I don't
not-
know. It could have
He's
been.
not really on good terms. I don't know. I think
It's weird that we didn't see him the last two episodes. He's been in one episode the whole season.
It is
where in
really
episode
strange.
9 now is next one. That's pretty weird.
it's very, very strange, especially given how adventure-y like some of these past episodes have been. Like they've just kind of random.
And his only episode was really strong. So
no, but I just thought I'd ask about the clone assassin. It could be nothing, but I do think it's interesting that Rex was like, hey, it's not a trooper, and there's like no record of him anywhere. And the Bad Batch are like, okay, that's really weird. So I don't know. They made a note of it. I'm not entirely sure if it's going to go anywhere though. So keep going.
Okay. Echo volunteers to testify. They're like, they would never believe you.
Classic Echo.
Rex explains they can prove Rampart's crimes by obtaining Slip's backup copy of the command log, and that's the mission for them. They need to go get it from the command log. Chuchi adds that the defense recruitment bill is being debated the following day, and they must be able to use this evidence to prove his crimes before it passes. So the clones get to work. The Bad Batch gets to work. While this is happening, we see Omega in the Senate chamber being shown around by a Chuchi. And Omega's asking what a senator does. She's telling them all about what happens. Omega clearly hates Rampart. We see him walk by, and she's giving him the stink eye the whole time, which I thought was funny.
Genuinely surprised Rampart did not like have any knowledge of Omega like at all.
Yeah.
I was like, that's odd.
Pretty strange. I mean, I guess they didn't tell anyone though, right? Nala Su and Lama Se just kind of.
Yeah, I guess that's true. They did kind of go behind the back, but I don't know. You'd think they'd be some kind of record. Anyway, it's a minor detail. We see Maz Amata. The on top, these very British.
Yeah.
You can't fail, Rampart.
Yeah. He has the awesome like chin horns, like jowl chin horns, which are sick. I wish we saw more of him, by the way, because he's like the little consigliere to the Emperor, and I wish we saw more of him.
He's the Emperor's bitch.
He's the Emperor's consigliere. It's awesome. He asks if Chuchi's going to be a problem. Rampart's like, no. He's very confident here. Rampart's like, this will not be a big deal. Omega asks, she's being cute, where's the port for the clones? And Chuchi's like, they don't have representation, but we're going to represent them, blah, 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 blah. So then Chuchi is determined to fight for the cause. The droid comes by, astromech droid comes by. I don't know what its name is, but he pops by. Chuchi asks Omega if she can keep a secret, which is weird. I don't know why you'd ask a 13-year-old. I would never tell a 13-year-old a secret, but hey, to each their own. Ramparts gives a speech arguing that the galaxy needs a military staffed by citizens. Chuchi briefs Organa about the failed assassination attempt, leading Organa to surmise that Rampart is very resourceful. Chuchi explains that her associates are working on obtaining information proving Rampart's role in the events on Kamino. Organa's talking to Chuchi about the Kaminoan senator, Halle Berry, or whatever its name is, and then
it's
Organa...
Bortoni?
Yep, Halle Berry. Organa says she served on the Defense Finance Committee before being removed, and Organa says to follow the money. Good advice. Follow the money, and you will usually uncover the conspiracy. They go host Halle Berry, Senator Berry from Tapioca City.
Senator Bertoni from Tapioca City.
Senator Bertoli. It's like the pasta sauce. Bertoli.
Bertoni.
Bertoli, whatever. Same difference.
Senator Chuchi. Senator Bertoni.
Yeah. So Chuchi's asking her about the funds. What's going on? She's being nosy. Bertoli's being a little standoffish. She thinks Chuchi's kind of an idiot. Don't pry into sensitive matters, I believe she says. And then Chuchi mentions the Kaminoan people, which the Bertoli doesn't seem super concerned about. She's like, they're scattered throughout the galaxy, whatever. All right, you're cold. If my species was dying off, I think I'd be kind of pissed.
She's always been kind of indifferent to, I think it's the same arc where it's like the arc I was talking about earlier where Bale's going to get assassinated. And, no, it's not. It's a different arc with Senator Bertoni, and she's like, Padme thinks, I'm not summarizing this very well. Somebody thinks that she's like, she's killed Padme's mentor. If you're, this is an early Clone Wars episode, and in the episode, Senator Bertoni is like, I didn't kill him, and I always remember the way that scene was like,
there's some corny acted. Lines like that.
So I always remembered that line because Grace, our sister, would always quote that. Because she watched that episode with me once, and she like constantly quotes it now. So every time I think of Senator Bertoni, I just think of the "I didn't kill him."
Well, I'm just gonna think of the pasta sauce from here on out.
Senator Bertoni. Anyway, it's random, but that's what she reminds me of. That one random Clone Wars arc where Padme's like uncle, who's not really her uncle, is killed, and then Senator Bertoni has to defend herself. Anyway.
Omega says it's not right. She's being the voice of reason. Bertoni seems to respect her for this. Also starts talking shit on Lama Su, saying he's arrogant in his beliefs that the clones were a necessity to the Empire.
By the way, I picked up on something that I forgot about.
Okay.
We know that Nala Se is alive, but if you remember at the end of season 1, it's implied that Rampart has the clone troopers kill Lama Su. Do you remember that? They left it super ambiguous.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty safe to assume that he's dead.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, because they kind of like walked out of the room with him and they just left it open-ended. Weird. Yep. But yeah, he's probably dead. Sorry, Lama Su. Chuchi's pleading with Bertoni to testify, but she's saying her words won't matter. They need the proof. Meanwhile, the Bad Batch and Rex are infiltrating the Star Destroyer. They have a fun little rambunctious time breaking in, infiltrating through a hatch, using their stun guns, which, guys, can we stop with the stun guns? It's just, it's inefficient and stupid. They're stunning all these guys, do the classic Star Wars shoot the panel so that the doors stay shut. Classic Star Wars move right there. They set off the alarm, so all these clone troopers are coming. What will the Bad Batch do? They fight their way through the clone sentries. Very good escape scene here. They get into an escape pod and blast out and then escape through a little trap door to get away. But I thought this was a good fight scene here.
That entire sequence was just phenomenal. I mean, like from the part from them like sneaking onto the ship, like, you know that scene where they're holding onto the ship and the lights like going over their faces as they're talking? I was like, my God, like could the animation go any harder? It's like you think it goes super hard in one episode and then the following episode it just elevates it even more. Like even the camera direction. I think there's a scene too where and you know, like if you guys go back and you watch the episode, you can, if you pay attention to the camera direction, they're doing things that they haven't done in other episodes. Like there's a shot when they're in the escape pod and the escape pod bursts out and the camera is like back here and this is the escape pod and then the camera like zooms in as the escape pod's like coming towards you. It's a really cinematic shot for an animated series.
There was a lot of those in these episodes, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, you can tell like they put a lot of thought and consideration into it. So I highly recommend if you guys go back and you watch that sequence, just where they're breaking in and from the time till when they escape, there's a lot of creative and different camera angles that I think are like worth appreciating. So props to the animation team. Like
props
honestly,
to the animation team.
Crushed it.
So then we cut to the Imperial Senate. Rampart argues there's no need to delay the vote. He's trying to push this thing through. Chuchi disagrees, and she's trying to buy them some time and call them out. She's saying that Bertoni's willing to testify about the funds. Rampart's denying it, saying he's not at liberty to disclose what happened to those Kaminoan funds. They were redistributed. But Chuchi's saying, hey, this happened before Tapioca City, and that he was planning on it. And he's trying to do damage control, saying she's crazy. The rest of the Senate starts going after her, and they're like, hey, we should censure you because you're being a bitch. And, even though she's not, she's telling the truth. People are starting to second the motion when, of course, just in the nick of time, they get the data pack delivered to them, to Senator Organa, thanks courtesy of Omega, who presents it to the whole Senate, which conveniently has the entire video of Tapioca City being destroyed, which that's nice. It's for the whole Senate to see. So Rampart's been exposed as a liar. And the senators are pissed, and we think we've won when all of a sudden, very cool sequence here as Emperor Palpatine and Vizier Ameda, I believe is how you say his name, Vizier, whatever his name is, the guy with the cool horns, his little consigliere, come up on the central pod to address the Senate. He immediately throws Rampart under the bus and gives us an amazing little monologue from the Emperor. Handles it fantastically. Ian McDermott comes back for this. Super hype. The introduction of him into the show was very, very, very well done. He's creepy. He's scary. Highlight of the episode for me. What did you think?
Note the tone change when he comes in.
Huge.
And the massive tone change of like the music. They immediately, you know how the evil people in Star Wars always get the and it's like this very creepy. Somebody once told me it sounds like evil Gregorian chant. And I have never.
Females. It's not guys going, ooh.
Yeah.
Even though that is kind of what they do. And
it is. It's a high pitched. Which, by the way, on to talk about, they played that theme when Palpatine started talking, which just, my God, it just adds to the Star Warsiness. It was just absolutely brilliant. But I really loved whoever wrote this scene. I just have massive respect for, because it perfectly displayed how cunning and tactical Sidious is, and how he planned this so well that he used Chuchi to like boost his argument for getting conscripted soldiers. And I was like, oh my God, that's just brilliant.
Do you think it was that, or do you think it's just he has a contingency plan for everything? Like if the defense bill went through,
I think that was
happy.
his contingency plan.
That's what I mean. I don't think it was planned that he had manipulated Chuchi. I think it's just like he wanted the defense bill to pass, and if it didn't, okay, great. This is what I'll say. I'll expose Rampart no matter what. I'll let it come to light. You know. So, but if it does get exposed, then awesome. I can still win that way too. I think he's just 5 steps ahead of everyone else, which they really illustrated here. Also, you noted a tonal change, not just with the music and stuff and the attention of everyone in the Senate, but his voice. He is fully the Emperor now. Whereas opposed to where we heard him in Clone Wars being Palpatine, blah, 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 he is fully, like, sounds like original trilogy Palpatine, which to me was just, like, incredible. So cool. So well done.
It definitely helps connect the
so
stories.
much. And this is why I like this show. It just connects the dots in between original trilogy and prequels. And, like, that's what I want. That's good storytelling. I don't know why this time period, I don't know why it hasn't been explored before in Star Wars. It makes no sense. Makes absolutely zero sense. It would have made more sense to do the sequel trilogy, do it in between the prequels and the original trilogy. That's a huge gap to fill. That's why Rogue One was so good, dude, is they're building on things that were already built, you know? So we already understand. I'm beating a dead horse with this point, but like,
you're not
I think
wrong.
this is why this episode resonated with a lot of people, including myself, was we're just building the world in the most obvious way, which is how does the Emperor interact with the Senate? Boom, here you go. This also illustrates what a smart, evil person he is. You know, it's just good. It's just good writing, good character development all around. So I thought this little speech he gave, throwing Rampart under the bus, showing how ruthless he is.
I think honestly, I do think that like a lot of this, I don't know if it's like arrogance, but Palpatine's just constantly confident that he actually it is. If we're getting down to the core of it, is Luke Skywalker says it best: your arrogance is your weakness. Like Palpatine is so arrogant he can't see past the end of his nose. He's like, I've got all of this in the books. I'm throwing Rampart under the bus, which is part of the reason why when Luke refuses to fight Vader, Sidious is like, what? Like, yeah. You know, Luke's like, I love my father and you can't take that away from me. And Sidious is like, what? Like, yeah. He doesn't see that coming.
He's like, this has worked before with Anakin and Dooku. I don't know why this isn't working now.
I don't know why this isn't working with you. Luke's like, well, I love my dad, so screw off. But like, I do think it really illustrates Palpatine's cunning, his character so well.
Totally.
And I'm just such a huge fan of whoever wrote this.
Amazing line talking about bringing in the Imperial Stormtrooper, major Nazi vibes throughout this whole thing, talking about following orders, all that stuff, bringing in the Stormtroopers. That's what they called the Nazis. We obviously already knew that, but just very, very good writing here.
Did you catch, sorry to interrupt you, but did you also catch at the end where he says, bring about the era of an Imperial Stormtrooper, and then the Kiner brothers included the cue from Revenge of the Sith that is dun 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 dun.
That's awesome.
And I caught it on the second watch and I was like, oh my god, like it's just they perfectly know how to blend these Star Wars elements to make it like the best product. It's so good.
Yeah. Very well done. Following the Senate, Rex is sad that the Emperor was 5 steps ahead of them. They played right into his hands, which, again, I don't know that was necessarily the case. Omega can't understand this. She's just a kid. The Echo laments the fate of the clones is sealed as a result of their actions. He's very upset about this. He's very upset about the other clones. He feels a kinship to his brothers. Shuchi vows to continue the fight and then promises never to give up. And then we see a weird moment here where Hunter and all the rest of the Bad Batch says, let us know if you need anything else. We'll see you when we see ya. Farewell. And Omega's surprised to see Echo's not coming, and he explains that he's going with Rex. That's what we find out. Omega's upset, but Echo promises that he will return while the rest of the Bad Batch get up onto the Marauder, and Omega hugs her little doll. And that's how the episode ends. Quick thought on this scene. Not surprising. You and I have been calling this for a long time. We did not think Rex was going to stay. By the way, this decision makes sense. It's not anyone's shocked by this is I don't know if you know his character at all. He hasn't really fit in. This has been on purpose. He hasn't really fit in with them the last couple episodes. He's been kind of doing his own thing, moving at the beat of his own drum, that sort of thing. He's never really fit in that much with them, you know? So I wasn't that surprised by this. I think it's a good move. He should be with Rex. We saw this coming, but Omega's pretty shocked by it, but makes sense to me.
I agree. I think Echo's path has always pointed back towards working with Rex. He's always been a little bit uneasy. If I did have to give a criticism, I would say they probably could have built up his leaving a little bit better, you know, because they sidelined his character a lot in season 1, and they sidelined him a pretty decent amount so far in season 2. So I honestly think that the build up to him leaving could have been better. Am I quaking in my boots over it? No, it's just I think that it could have been a little bit more impactful. Like
I agree. Like in these last couple episodes, exactly. I was just going to say that the last couple episodes, you need to have more conflict with him in these other episodes. Just slight stuff throughout the episode to foreshadow that he is considering doing other things with his time.
Yeah.
So missed opportunity. Fine. I'm not angry about it. I'm not going to lose any sleep. I don't care. But it would have just been way more impactful of a moment if they would have done that for these last 3 filler episodes with Gungi and the spiders and all that.
Yeah, they could have built it up to be a lot better. But that's like my only complaint. As far as these 2 episodes go, I just thought that they were very well executed. There's so much love and care poured into them from the writing, directing, animation, quality. It's just like, this is Bad Batch at its very, very best. Like, when it's great, it's really, really, really great. Like, and I feel like this episode is like what makes the show so interesting. I think it's like these 2 episodes perfectly captured like the foundation of the series.
Yeah.
And I think why people keep coming back.
Totally.
It's just fascinating storytelling.
It's very, very good storytelling. Excellent filler material in terms of connecting prequels to original trilogy. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was really well done. Not a minute was wasted either. Not a minute of wasted time. So excellent episodes. I give these. I'm up in the 8s for this one. I think for both. I'm gonna consider them both 1 because it's kind of the same thing. This is like an 8.7, 8.8 for me. Very high. This is like very good, super Star Wars-y content. And if you were talking about mandatory watching episodes from Clone Wars or Bad Batch, this is one of them for sure.
This is absolutely one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it might. I think it might be the best, some of the best of Star Wars animation that it's ever offered.
100%.
So I'd have to
this
say,
is why you should watch it. If you haven't watched Clone Wars or like people haven't watched Bad Batch, this is why you tune in. It's just good material.
yeah, they do a great job between filling in the gaps of questions that you might have in other Star Wars stories. But I'd probably rank it, my gosh, 8.8, 8.9 out of 10. Like, it was really good, man. I could not stop thinking about it. I was genuinely so excited to sit down and rewatch it. Like, this is the Bad Batch stuff I want to see.
Yeah.
And it did not disappoint in the slightest. But
I agree.
I know that we still have fan thoughts to do.
No, we can jump in. There's not a ton to get through.
Okay.
I think we can get through them in the next 2 to 3 minutes.
Okay, fan thoughts.
Let's jump into fan thoughts, guys. We have our news segment. Best question wins a free T-shirt. And today we are going to announce the winner first, then we'll get through the rest of the fan questions and theories. The winner of our first T-shirt, another Star Wars podcast T-shirt, is username Back to the Future Fan 88. So congratulations. We will be sending you another Star Wars podcast T-shirt in the mail. So you'll just need to reach out to us at anotherstarwarspod@gmail.com with your address, and we will get that mailed out to you. So congratulations, but let's read what he had to say.
Congratulations. I feel like I should include a clapping track or something.
Yeah, very, very good stuff. I just feel Echo never really belonged or fit in with the Bad Batch. He didn't seem to have a good, deep connection with them. Maybe you could argue him and Omega, but I don't think we saw enough to say anything really. I am, however, highly concerned about Echo since he's not in Rebels, and Rex never mentions him in that show. Good point. I did see someone suggest Echo base on Hoth in Empire Strikes Back was perhaps in honor of Echo. I highly doubt they do that, but was an interesting speculation. I agree. Now for a question. Why did Echo want to leave the 501st and join with the Bad Batch in the first place anyways? Was it because he had a mutation, if you want to call it that, being able to operate a droid panel? Did he feel out of place with Rex and the others now? Because I highly doubt any of his brothers would treat him differently.
Boom. Loaded commentary here. Really good commentary. The
question is, why did he leave? He felt a kinship. I think he felt different, and the Bad Batch was different to him. And it made the most sense for him at the time. Because
he was kind of a new freak.
New freak, weird background, Skako Minor stuff. He added a unique ability to the Bad Batch and felt maybe he'd be more useful. I think he initially felt out of place, and then he evolved and realized that wasn't exactly where he needed to be. I don't think he would have thought he was going to get judged by anyone else. I think it was more just like he felt that his positioning was better with the Bad Batch.
I think he goes where he feels he's needed.
Right. I think that's the nail on the head. That's the kind of character he is too, it seems. He just wants to go where he's the most useful and where he's the most needed. Yeah,
and I feel like he was kind of dragging his feet in the mud with the Bad Batch and kept saying like we need to be doing more with Rex. So I think it makes sense. I would like to see some solo episodes with Rex and Echo and kind of what like their underworkings and like what's going on with them, and and I think the Batch are going to be affected by Echo leaving. I think Omega's going to take it really hard. And I think it's going to change up their dynamic. And I believe Echo will come back in the finale with Rex to help out the Bad Batch.
I agree.
One more
time.
And
I think that would be really cool. And we might see a death.
Oh,
who knows?
God.
But that's a big implication. I think that's the biggest thing with him going with Rex is that if he doesn't end up coming back to the Bad Batch, not a good sign for Echo's fate.
I don't like where this is going.
Congrats to Back to the Future Fan 88. He always leaves good comments, or she.
Yeah.
So we appreciate that, and congratulations on winning the first T-shirt giveaway from Another Star Wars Podcast. If you guys would like to win, be sure to write us at anotherstarwarspod@gmail.com, your question/theory, or go to our community page and leave a comment there.
Questions and theories. Let us know.
Questions and theories. More comments. Micah Hill writes, it was an amazing piece of Star Wars. Palpatine's voice was chilling. Andrew Lawrence also wrote the same thing. Return of Ian McDiarmid as Emperor Palpatine was brilliant. I agree. I think that was such a nice piece to these episodes. He was written really well. They didn't overdo it. They didn't put too much of him in there. But it was really cool to see him interacting with the Senate in a way that we haven't quite seen yet. So that was a huge highlight for me as well.
Yeah, I mean, anywhere you put Ian McDiarmid, it's like the quality of your product automatically goes up by like 10,000%.
Yeah. So many, Tony Rust writes, so many emotions. Love this episode. Brandon Deeks writes, excellent. Double A writes, both great episodes. Broadside Dustman writes, very amazing episodes. Neil McNulty writes, damn good stuff. Chris writes, it was amazing. So everyone seems to really, really like this episode, which I agree with. One interesting comment here is Chetan Rakitan. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Shaitan Rakitan, I don't know. Writes, 2-part episode was unbelievable, and I agree with Omega's motions. I kind of do. I don't know. I think she's
A child.
more surprised than she should be, but yeah, she's also a child. I got to be honest too. I don't know that I'm into her character as much this season.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of, I think a large part of that is due to the fact that they left us hanging on a thread because her background is so mysterious. Like, we don't know why she was created. She is Boba's sister, but they haven't really carried that out. And the Kaminoans were chasing her down. Like, they wanted to get her back.
Yeah.
And they wanted to experiment on her. And, you know, we saw some of that tying back into Mando, but I think part of that is just because, like, a lot of that has been stalled. And they might be done with it. I don't know. But, like, I think she's cute, but she's not, like, a character that I'm like, what's Omega's going to do this week?
I'm just not interested in her character this season at all. It's just not interesting enough. It doesn't add enough value to the show for me for this season. I think the Bad Batch and Crosshair and Rex and Cody, that stuff's just a little bit more interesting. And that might change. Maybe they'll do some more with her in the second part of the season. But, I don't know. I'm not crazy about her character quite yet. I think I would have liked it a lot more if they would have tied it into Book of Boba Fett. Maybe they do have plans to do that, to bring her in as live action. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not super gung ho on Omega.
Yeah, I think it's understandable. I don't think that they've like right now she has a nice dynamic with the Bad Batch, but I don't know what other plans they have for her character. But hey, it's like we still have the second half of the season to get through. They could do something. I'm not entirely sure how many episodes we have left, but yeah, I agree. I think a lot of that is because she's missing intrigue, and she had that last season.
Yeah, there was a little bit more interesting. 16 episodes total, by the way.
Where are we at right now?
We're on episode 9. Will be next week. It's called The Crossing.
If Crosshair isn't in the episode called The Crossing.
Missed opportunity. Then we have Retrieval, Metamorphosis, The Outpost, Pabu, Tipping Point, The Summit, and Plan 99. Ooh,
Plan 99. Is that
the
okay?
Last episode.
I wonder, based on your theory, is that going to be like another Order 66 but called Plan 99?
But it's by the...
Yeah. But also, I think that's in reference to 99, the old clone, the malfunctioned clone in the Clone Wars.
Could be, but they're also Clone Force 99. Could have to.
They're
do
named
with,
after him, so
the clone. Yes, that's true. It could be after the Clone Uprising, maybe. I don't know. Interesting stuff. But guys, you don't want to miss out on these discussions. We're going to continue to have over the next couple of weeks. So in order to keep up with that, please click like, subscribe below. Click the notification bell so you always know when our new, cool, super sexy, awesome videos are coming out. Melissa and I are brother and sister. We are not husband and wife or boyfriend and girlfriend, as there was some confusion a couple weeks ago, apparently. If you're new, thank you for joining us. If you made it through the full episode, if you're returning, we appreciate you guys too. Please be sure to head over to our store and check out our merch on Spreadshop. It's probably under this video. You can probably just click it right here. Or it'll be at the end card, and you can click the shopping tab on our YouTube page too. But there's mugs, there's t-shirts, there's sweatshirts, there's tote bags, there's women's t-shirts, there's Hello There ones that say from Kenobi, there's Ahsoka Tano ones, there's Filoni Favreau 2024 shirts, and then of course our logo shirts, which we would love for you to buy the most. There's also hats, really cool, and other Star Wars podcast hats, which I got to order one of those because I think those are dope.
Yeah, they're pretty sick.
I want to start wearing those around. Those were designed by our very own Melissa Thomas. So nice work, Melissa. You guys got to check those out. Check out our store. Also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at @star_wars_pod. Check us out on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, and then YouTube. make sure you subscribe here. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week for episode 9 with our reactions and thoughts on that. But hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Leave a comment below, and don't forget to comment for your chance to win an awesome free super secret special t-shirt next time.
Comments and theories. Come on, guys.
And theories. And also write a comment telling Melissa how much you love her new Star Wars news bumper, because it is pretty cool. We'll have to do more of those, maybe for the t-shirt giveaway or something.
Yes, I agree.
Either way, I've got to go. I got to go pick up my dog. He just had his neuter surgery today. Bummer. Sorry, little Bilbo. But I got to go get him, so I must go. But we'll see you guys next week on another Star Wars podcast. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, see you guys next week.